Blog Talk Radio.
This is NBA Unplugged, brought to you by theprobasketballtalk.com. It's time to talk hoops with Jacob Noble and James Buckland.
Mike's picking you up, Jacob. I'll ask Carter.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a special Saturday edition of NBA Unplugged, brought to you by theprobasketballtalk.com. Once again, that's theprobasketballtalk.com, the greatest basketball website in the universe.
Of all time.
It's Saturday!
It's a Saturday morning, and I'm Jacob Noble, by the way. This is James Buckland.
Hi.
And it's a Saturday morning. We're in a different mood. You know, we're just waking up instead of spending our whole day waiting to get out of work and come and talk hoops. But I think we got a lot to be fired up about.
There's music going on downstairs. I feel the ambiance of the entire the room here, and I'm just ready to go, ready to talk hoops. And we have a large amount of things to talk about today.
There's a lot of things to talk about. A lot of things happen.
Potpourri.
Yeah, we're gonna touch on something that actually happened this morning. We're gonna debunk ESPN's Chris Palmer's myth that Larry Bird's shooting is a myth.
Well,
we're gonna debunk that.
Let's not say debunk just yet.
Oh, we're debunking the crap out of this.
We'll
discuss and debunk
his comments.
So then after that, we're gonna hop on a little Celtics, talk a little about the Little Heat, maybe touch on the Rudy Gay trade rumors, talk about the Kings being sold. We got the All-Star Game voting. We got a special for you guys today. Mr. James Buckland's gonna cast his vote
live on NBA Unplugged. I'm casting my NBA All-Star vote. I've not done it yet this season, so what better time than right now when we're going to be talking about who's starting in the game than for me to cast my vote.
The deadline is, I believe, 11 p.m. on Monday or 11:59 on Monday. So you got to get your votes in by Monday if you want to participate in selecting these starters. And then, of course, last but not least, we'll have my epic rant, which is going to be a kind of a throwback that we just looked up the archives on the website and found that I did write about this topic a while back, but we're not going to blow our loads just yet. We're going to get back to Chris Palmer and Larry Bird. And this started with this. Chris Palmer, for some reason, woke up today and just decided not to like Larry Bird. He said he met him as a rookie, and he's a legend, but he said that Larry Bird's greatness cannot be questioned. But as a deep shooter, vastly overrated. You know, truth hurts. Tell me about it. And he points out the first 5 years as his reasoning that his field goal percentage was 40% first year, then 27%.
3-point field goal percentage.
3-point field goal, 21%, 28%, and 24%. So I kind of want you to go on this because you are probably the most knowledgeable person in Celtics history. Growing up with your father, you have the whole DVD box set. You've seen it 40 times.
Right.
You know everyone's mother's middle name. So let's let you kind of talk about this because I wanted to debunk it, but you want to discuss it.
Well, here, he mixed his argument a lot, and that's really what bothers me the most about his whole series of tweets this morning. One of them being he just says Larry Bird is the most overrated shooter of all time.
Yeah.
Now, he's talking about three-point shooting. There's a difference between being a great shooter and being a great three-point shooter. There are guys who are great from three-point land who are not good in the mid-range, and vice versa. You look at a guy like Rip Hamilton. Is he a great shooter, a real fantastic shooter? Yeah. Is he great from three-point range?
No.
Not especially. He's more of a mid-range guy. Larry Bird, I think his specialty was really the mid-range as well.
Yeah.
Now, he could obviously shoot the three-point shot. He won 2 3-point shootouts. So
without taking a jacket off.
That was clearly part of his game. But when you say he's an overrated shooter, I think you can't just talk about the three-point shot. You've got to look at Dirk Nowitzki. Can he shoot threes? Of course he can. But is his specialty there? No, it isn't. He likes to work the mid-range, and he's a terrific shooter because of that. He's got a great arc, and it's tough to defend his shot because he's 7 feet tall and he's got a high release. It's the same deal with Larry Bird. They're actually very similar players in the way that they shot, the way that they scored.
Yep.
As far as calling Larry Bird an overrated three-point shooter, I don't know. I guess if you stack him up against some of the guys today, like Stephen Curry, where I believe this all started, when you get to the end of the line, we'll probably be saying that Stephen Curry was a better three-point shooter than Larry Bird. But to say that he was overrated, I don't know about that. You can point out his rough years percentage-wise, but with the three-point shot, we always have to remember, it's almost 24 feet away from the basket. This is not an easy shot.
No.
And I think he quoted at one point comparing LeBron James's current three-point shooting to Larry Bird's best season, which was what? You have the stats pulled up here.
It was 84-85. So like 42.7%.
42.7%. Ray Allen is a career 40% three-point shooter, and he's unarguably the greatest three-point shooter of all time.
But it's funny.
Reggie Miller is below that. I don't think you can really look at percentages when you talk about three-point shooting, because Larry Bird's not going to have even close to the attempts that the other three-point shooters have, because he had other facets to his game. Does that mean that he's a worse three-point shooter, or does it just mean that he had a different focus to his game? Also, let's not forget that Larry Bird's rookie season, as you can read right there, is the 79-80 season. Do you know what the first season was that the three-point line was adopted into the NBA? It was that exact year. So there's a lot of things right there that I feel Palmer overlooked in his argument, and I'm sure he got plenty of tweets at him this morning and got people all riled up. But, more credit to him. I don't have the 56,000 or 52,000 followers that he does to get people riled up, so I guess his opinion matters more than mine.
Yeah, well, you pointed out something, because we were kind of looking at the stats before we hopped on here. I did a little homework, and you point out that the 4 seasons that he shot under 30%, he didn't take more than 77 attempts in those seasons. So that tells me it was more of a coaching philosophy at that time. Maybe the coaches at the time, I know they had a couple during that era, so whoever it was, he fell in love with the three-point shooter when it first came out, and the rule changed. Hey, why not? I'm going to try it. Then I feel like everyone realized that it's not helping their game as much, because it's not a high-efficient shot.
And Larry was a playmaker as well.
Yes.
If he's standing around the perimeter shooting three-point shots, his game's not being used to the best of his ability.
If that was LeBron doing that, just standing around the three-point range.
People would be killing him.
Yes.
Absolutely murdering him. I'm sure Chris Palmer included.
And then as Bird, aged and injuries amounted to the back and the knees, he had to develop his game a little bit, and that's where we see that his strong three-point shooting came. I mean, he had 6 seasons of over 40% shooting from three. So it's not like he's a schmo. I mean, his career percentage is 37.6, which is, a couple points under some of the greatest of all time. But that's not our point. I got to ask Chris, and I always do, step away from stats, because stats tell you one side of the story. If you're down by 2 and Bird gets an open corner 3, are you feeling good about it?
Yeah. Do you want him shooting it, or do you want Damon Jones shooting
or
it?
Or Rashard Lewis? I mean, come on. And he's looking at total made. Yeah, Jason Kidd's up in the top 5 3-pointers made of all time.
And Damon Jones is, a few hundred above Larry Bird. If you look at the attempts, it's not even close between the two of them. Damon Jones had a season where he shot 521 three-point shots.
Larry Bird had 649 career made.
Right. Larry Bird's highest attempt season was 237, more than less than half of that. So it's really tough to make a comparison like that. If you want to bring up the numbers, you've got to go deeper than just the raw percentages, because it's not telling even a fraction of the story.
Nope.
Or I guess I should say a percentage of the story.
Ding.
Hey!
So now we're on to the Celtics. We're going to talk about them, because they are turning it around.
You don't have any final thoughts on that, Larry?
No, I mean,
I think the main thing that's wrong with this argument is that he's not... He's making it seem like the three-point shot is what decides if you're a great shooter or not. By saying that Larry Bird's an overrated shooter, that means that he's just lumping all shooters in looking at them by their three-point percentages rather than their mid-range, their, what have you, corner threes, top of the key. I think you've got to look at all of that when you talk about some of the greatest shooters of all time, and I think you obviously have to put Larry Bird in that category. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not challenging Larry Bird to a game of horse anytime soon. Just not going to do it. Even now, with his back and knees in a suit.
Not even for a Big Mac like Michael Jordan did.
No, well, Jordan might have a shot at getting that Big Mac. I don't. So let's segue back to the Celtics here, because they have finally turned the corner, and if you've been listening to this podcast or listening to me...
Yeah, that's what I want to do before we get into the Celtics at all, is just give you props, because all along that when they were struggling, there was a lot of complaints about them, a lot of people getting down on them. And you said many times, I'm going to reserve my opinions until I see Avery Bradley come back. And even me, myself, was thinking,
that's a little
what's
crazy.
This guy talking about? I'm not taking anything away from Avery Bradley. He's a good player, great defender. But I didn't think that he would make a difference to the degree that he has so far. So kudos to you for saying that. And since his comeback, they have not lost a step at all. Yeah,
well, that's what I'm going to get to.
They've won 5 games straight.
They're now the 7th best defense in terms of points per game. They're holding opponents under 100. And we're talking about opponents like the Houston Rockets that they played last night. The Rockets put up 180 points on the Lakers a few days before. The Rockets are one of the most efficient, high-paced offensive teams that are out there right now, and they're going to make the playoffs at this rate.
Oh, yeah.
They're a very good team. They also beat 3 teams that are in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. So this isn't just a stretch where they're playing bad teams and winning. They're playing good quality opponents, and they lost to Memphis by 10. That was first game Bradley's back. Since then, they beat the Pacers, Hawks, Knicks,
New York,
Suns, and the Rockets. And then they got an opportunity to win some more games. And then they got Charlotte. Now we're talking about bunnies. They got Charlotte, New Orleans, Detroit, Cleveland coming up in the next 5 games.
Yeah.
There's one big one, and that'll be on ESPN, which hopefully Derrick Rose is back, but that's another topic. So the Celtics have finally turned the corner, and it's the whole domino effect that Avery Bradley does. Yes, his defense is phenomenal. It's there to stop the other team's best scorer, because Rondo's not really that good of a defender. He's not a shutdown defender. Pierce has lost a step. He can't do it. Garnett's got to patrol the paint. So they needed somebody to be able to defend their opponent's best point guard, best shooter, whoever the case may be, or as Chris Palmer says, the best shooter on the court, which would be the three-point shooter. Bradley's a great perimeter defender. But what that does is it allows everybody else that they signed in the offseason to do what they were signed up to do. Jason Terry was not supposed to be starting. He'd just come off the bench, throw up 5 to 10 shots a game. If they're hitting, you're staying. If they're not, we'll sit you down, put someone else out there. But I still think that they're still got to improve, and I think the play of Jared Sullinger has also helped them during this stretch.
He's been enormous.
It's not being talked about enough because they were struggling in the paint. So Bradley can only do so much on the perimeter, but then it goes the other way. Kevin Garnett had to help out on the perimeter on screens and picks. He had to step out more than he wanted to because they were just getting blown by Terry or Courtney Lee or whoever was out there trying to fill in for Avery Bradley. But now that Bradley's back, everyone kind of has a domino, and the bench is getting more comfortable. They put up, 50 points the other day where,
right.
They had 3 of the top scorers on the Celtics team off the bench.
Well, and you said domino effect, and I think that's a great way to put it. Now that they've got their starting lineup back, this is the starting lineup that they had so much success with last season. Rondo, Bradley, Pierce, Bass.
No pass, Bass.
Garnett. No pass, Bass. And that was the lineup they had success with last season, and that pushes everyone down into that bench category. So now you've got the Bradleys, the Lees, the Greens, and the Sullingers. And I mean, there are a lot of people saying Jared Sullinger should be the starter right now because he's playing so great.
Yeah.
I say just play him wherever he's going to get the most minutes because
it's not who starts, it's who finishes.
Right. He actually has either very close or the same or better plus-minus than Kevin Garnett does right now for the Boston Celtics.
It's much better.
He's 1 or 2,
20 points better.
So he's been very impressive, and I think that's another huge factor for why they have turned the corner here and really are playing some great basketball.
But let's jump to the other point that I want to make with this Celtics team. They did this last year, same time.
Yeah.
They were 13 and 16 or whatever the case may be. There were a few games under 500. They played last year was about half the season. This year it's about a third of the season, and they finally just turned the page and figured it out. They made a tweak. The tweak both times was Avery Bradley starting, and whether it was from coming off the bench last season or coming back from injury this season, the Bradley factor is proving right.
It helps the defense. It helps the bench, and I think it even helps the offense. You look at some of the things he's able to do with backdoor cuts.
Yep.
Finding the open space inside for Rondo to find him. And he's also making his corner three-point shot at a high clip, better than Courtney Lee was.
Yep.
So I think he's really helped the offense as well.
Absolutely. Now, the Celtics are rolling. They got a few bunny games. They could win 9 out of 10 games coming up after the next 5-game stretch. After that, it gets a little hard again, where they play the Knicks, Heat, and the Hawks, 3 Eastern Conference playoff teams that they're probably going to have to go through 1 or 2 of those teams, maybe 3.
It's just one more team now in the Atlantic Division making it just a very exciting thing to be watching down the stretch. Because let's not forget that Brooklyn has also won 5 straight as well.
They've turned it around since.
Right.
Well, they had some bunnies, but they've turned it around.
And the Knicks have sort of dropped a little bit ever since the Carmelo incident.
There's another team that's dropped a little bit, and that's the Miami Heat.
Ooh.
They have not been playing their best basketball lately. They aren't putting up the same offensive efficiency as they should. They've lost 3 out of their last 4. And granted, they've been to good opponents, so you got to tip your hat to that. But, they lost at home to the Bulls, and they go to Indiana, lose, and they only put up 77 points there. They're struggling to score points lately. I mean, they did lose to Detroit and Milwaukee back-to-back at the end of December. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5 losses out of their last 8 games. That's not a championship type of team. Now, we look at the Celtics, who did that in the beginning of the season, then turned around and went on tear, but you can't flip it. You can't start off hot and then lose 5 out of the 8 games to, the Detroit and Milwaukee games just are unexcusable. And granted, a lot of these losses are on the road. So, does that say something about their bench?
Do you think it's a degree of them not putting out the effort? It seems that would always be the answer for why the Heat aren't winning. They will be more talented than just about any team that they play. If they don't win the game, it's got to be an effort thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. Because if you look on the other side of the coin, when you play the Heat, you want to have your best game. So
they're getting everybody's best shot.
Exactly. That's what happens when you're the champ. That's why it's so hard to repeat.
Yeah.
So they're getting everybody's best shot. I mean, you don't think that the Portland Trailblazers went in there the other night and we're just like, we need to win this game.
Yeah.
And it was there, and I hate saying it was their title game, but
Damian Lillard takes one more step towards becoming a superstar in his rookie season.
Phenomenal player. But that's what happens when you're the Heat, and I don't think that the guys on the bench are really going to win you any games. I think we've seen that over the past few years with this Heat team, is they're going to win their games by their 3 bigs.
Right.
The 3 big guys put up their 20-plus each. If they combine for 60-plus points, they're going to win most games.
Yeah, and they need something from their bench. That's always been something that because this is the regular season. This is not the playoffs. In the playoffs, sure, you can play those 3 guys all game.
Yep.
Because it's win or go home. But when it's the regular season, and that has to do with sort of an effort thing, or how much you want each game in the regular season, they better be careful. Atlanta's only 2.5 games behind.
Yep.
And they're ready to surge and make some noise in the Celtics division. Do I think that Atlanta will catch up and win the division? Absolutely not.
Hey,
the Heat will go on another run, rattle off 10 or 11 straight. That will happen again this season. But for right now, that they are struggling a bit. But I wouldn't be.
Well, all the top
I wouldn't
teams,
be too worried if I were them. They're still in first place.
Well, all the top teams are struggling. We just talked about the Miami Heat. They're 500 their last 10 games, lost 2 in a row. The Knicks are 4-6 their last 10, lost 3 in a row. The Hawks are 500 in their last 10 games. The only team that's really performing well in the top 4 seeds is Indiana. So maybe Indiana slides up there and gets another 2 or 3 seed at the end of this. Kind of like what a lot of people predicted last year.
Comes back whenever he does, but Paul George is playing outstanding.
But maybe that will be addition by subtraction method here. That if Danny Granger comes back,
or maybe addition by addition.
Possibly could. But so yeah, the East has now become wide open, and it's fairly interesting considering how we started the season, and it was these 2 teams, and it looks like everyone else is going to be crap. But I know you want to touch on one more team in the Eastern Conference that has been losing a lot of games lately.
Who was that? The Orlando Magic?
The Orlando Magic.
Yeah,
I want to talk about
we were just sort of prepping for the show, and I did not realize that they had lost 10 straight. That's a lot of straight games to lose.
You forget when your best player is Glenn Big Baby Davis. And
au contraire, I would say their best player is Niko Vucevic right now.
But he's just going to rot in the good teams, like Marcin Gortat, just rot in the background.
Yeah.
Get him on a good team. Houston, pick him up.
Pick him up.
Yeah, pick him up. The other side of the coin, I keep saying is the Western Conference here. Everyone's winning games over there. You look at the playoff picture, and everyone's either 6 or 7 out of their last 10 games, a couple of 8s, and the lowly teams below. Phoenix has lost 5 in a row, 1-9. The playoffs are going to be wide open. And
those poor Los Angeles Lakers have lost 6 straight, and they're now the 11th best team out of 15 in the conference.
Yeah, and even Dallas is way down there. Dirk came back, and they've gone terrible. Yeah.
Subtraction by addition? Is that what that is?
Oh, man. That's what that was, definitely. Absolutely.
Oh, boy.
It's
a weird year.
It's very weird.
This is kind of like in the NFL, how you never know who the teams no one would have said, the Seahawks will definitely still be in, the playoffs
winning a playoff
on
game.
January 12th. But it's kind of like that with the NBA this year. There are certain teams that will be there towards the end, and then there are some surprise teams that come in and play good basketball. And it's really exciting for me. At least, listen, we might not have the Los Angeles Lakers in the playoffs. That was the first time in forever that happened.
Did they not make it in the 2000 at post Shaq one year?
I don't recall. To quote Lil Wayne.
I don't recall. I don't recall. Speaking of, that video is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, you definitely need to see it. All right, so I think that's a hint to move on from the Miami Heat, and let's talk a little bit about an NBA team that's going to be sold, moved, whatever is going to go down.
I'm excited.
I'm very excited.
I'm excited for this, and I don't want to seem too excited for it because the city of Sacramento deserves an NBA basketball team. Arco Arena has, for years and years and years, dating back to the Chris Webber, Vlade Divac, Jason Williams, Peja Stojakovic days, Doug Christie and his wife days, dating back to them, it's been one of the loudest arenas in the NBA. They've got a loyal fan base. I don't want to see the Kings leave there, but I am excited for Seattle to potentially get a team back
Bigger
there
city.
And hopefully readopt the Seattle Supersonics name. This is my dream situation, and if this all comes true, I'll be a very happy man. We get the Seattle Supersonics back. The Charlotte Bobcats then go back to being the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets now, of course, lose that name in New Orleans, but they're fine. They're going to be the Pelicans anyway.
Yeah.
And then if the Jazz can get out of Utah and get back to New Orleans, but that obviously not going to happen.
So the Pelicans would have to go to Utah. The Utah Pelicans?
Right. The Pelicans would have to move at that point because I would want the Jazz to go back to New Orleans. Well, then the Lakers. You probably wouldn't want that because there's not too many lakes in Los Angeles.
There's no lakes in Los Angeles.
So we should probably send those Lakers to Utah.
Oh, to Minnesota?
So maybe it should be the Los Angeles Pelicans. I think that's what I'd like the most. And then just bring back the Sacramento Kings under new ownership. There it is. That's my dream NBA right there.
So what are the Jazz then? I'm just confused.
The Jazz were the Pelicans. No, the Lakers are the Pelicans. The Jazz are the Lakers. The Utah Lakers, that's what it is, yeah.
I have a feeling that the Laker organization is not going to give up that name with their 16 titles attached to it. I just don't think they're going to do that.
Why not?
But
the Pelicans. The Utah Lakers. They're in Salt Lake City. What are they going to be, the Utah Salters?
You never know. You never know. But I do like the theory here that we could have the Supersonics back and we could have the Hornets back in Charlotte. Then maybe Kendall Gill will come back and announce some games.
I hope so.
But the funny thing about the Kings here, this is kind of weird for us because we were both born in 1985. The Kings' first season in Sacramento was in 1985. So we're coming to an end of an era. Does this mean we have to grow up now or something? Like,
no.
Just more? Is there more to this than I'm reading? Or
well, it's the Kings, so it means we're royalty now.
So now we're royalty that the Kings no longer exist.
Right.
That they become
the crown has been passed on to others that were born during that year.
So there's actually people in Seattle who will not know of the original Supersonics. See, that's where it gets weird. Because do they get Supersonics here? I mean, they probably already have jerseys made, and this is just getting so weird. I hope they change the name too. I'm happy for Seattle because I think Seattle deserves a team, and you make a great point about Sacramento. Maybe we move the Charlotte Bobcats all the way out there. Does Charlotte not draw attendance? Do they need a team?
Listen, this is all getting very convoluted.
I mean, I think Kemba Walker would thrive out in Sacramento.
Sure.
But, anyways, the deal's reported to be $525 million. The Maloof's parents bought the team for, I want to say it was like $180 million back in the day. They have until March 1st to have a relocation request in if they want to make it for the 2013-14 season. And we're just basically going to follow this because Chris Hansen is leading the group that bought the team. He tried keeping the team, LA Pelicans. This is not to be confused with How to Catch a Predator Chris Hansen. This is a different Chris Hansen who's buying the team.
Okay.
So, but still no Predators will be able to go to these games. Okay? They're not welcome. But it's going to be interesting to see where this all plays out. Business is a fun aspect of the game of basketball because last minute something can be pulled and Sacramento might not be losing a team. Or it could be so quick like the Thunder move where it just kind of happened. It was like, whoa, what?
I'm glad though that they're staying in the Western Conference or in the Western side of the states because really, if you look at like the NBA map, it is really packed on to that east side.
Yep.
And things really get spread out on that western side of the map. So
they do,
I wouldn't want to see like the Chicago Bulls as a Western Conference team or something like that. Or
they still got to be in East.
That's where it would where it would shake out to if we say had someone like the Sacramento Kings moving out to the Eastern Coast.
Yeah, Well, we have a caller here. It's Saturday
do.
morning. We're going to see who is on
Very
the line.
good.
We have someone from the 609 number. How are we doing?
Hi, this is Sports Kingdom.
Oh, what's up? Taking a listen?
What'd you say?
I said you taking a listen of our crazy ideas to get the Pelicans in L.A., get the Jazz back to New Orleans, get the Lakes back to Minnesota or Utah, and Bobcats will be the Hornets. You listen to all these theories and get our teams back to when we were children.
Yeah, I was listening to some of the stuff you were saying, but I just wanted to ask you guys a question.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm personally a Sixers fan, and I wanted to ask you guys, do you think if Andrew Bynum doesn't work out, it would make the perfect sense if the Sixers were to trade for both DeMarcus Cousins and Tyreke Evans?
I think they could, but let me ask you, do you like those two guys going forward? Because they haven't had much success together in Sacramento. Tyreek's been in the league long enough now where I feel like he should be in the All-Star talk if he was going to be that type of player. But I'm with you. I love Boogie to death. I think Boogie's going to be that if he has the right guidance. And, Doug Collins is a great coach for that. I don't know your opinions on this, James.
Well, are you implying that they should trade Andrew Bynum to the Kings for that package?
No, I'm just saying if Andrew Bynum doesn't work out, the Sixers, of course, would need to find a legit center. And I think DeMarcus Cousins may be one of those legit centers. I think the two guys, DeMarcus Cousins and Tyreke Evans, definitely have some potential.
Yeah, to get that package, though, those two guys, you're probably going to have to use some of the young talent that Philly has accrued over these past few years. And there's a lot of good players there that I'm not sure I would want to lose if I were them.
I would go for what?
I guess I would ask for like a possible package there, but I don't know. I wouldn't give up a guy like Thaddeus Young or Evan Turner or someone like that. I'd want to keep those guys in house.
Well, yeah, you if you try to build around, and if you get both Tyreek and Boogie, you obviously got to give up 2 or 3 of those players, being Drew, Evan Turner, and Thaddeus Young. And my understanding was you probably want to keep Turner and Drew around, and possibly Thaddeus at best, and build around that. If you could get, you can go for Boogie only. I don't see the need for Tyreek if you're going to go for it. But then again, what is Sacramento asking? Because it sounds like a lot of teams are looking to get Boogie Cousins.
Yeah, I really not really got an answer from anybody about how desperate the Kings really are to trade DeMarcus Cousins at this point. It seemed like they were very desperate at first. You heard his name in a lot of trade talks, but he's still playing for them and playing well. If you're the Kings and you're trying to rebuild, don't you want a young center like that? And maybe they can figure that thing out in-house rather than sending him somewhere else.
I can see them tossing Tyreek out,
But are they going to ask for 40 cents on the dollar or 90 cents on the dollar?
They're probably going to ask for a lot, but also you got to look at the teams looking to move, so they probably want to have the least amount of expenses. They probably don't want to have a high salary if they're going to incur, the $1.2 billion it's going to take to move the team. Stadium plus the purchasing price. It's definitely something interesting, and I like that you bring up the Sixers because they're a team that was playing really well early on, but then they've kind of taken a little bit of a step back, and they're having some growing pains and whatever the case may be, but I think you're right. I think that whole Bynum situation is interesting. Now, can they do what they did with Yao Ming and just get the salary exception waived, and you basically take that money back on the salary where you can go out and maybe sign a free agent. I know we don't probably want to talk about it. He's going to be subject to my rant later, but Mr. Dwight Howard is a free agent after this year, I believe, and he apparently knows where he's going to sign, but you can always still convince him elsewise with money and, throw a franchise at him. Just send Will Smith out there to recruit him or something. So I don't think they have enough pieces without giving up those top 2 or 3 guys.
But I would say if I were the Sixers, I would most certainly be looking at those 2 guys if they were available, and maybe they can pull some sort of Andrew Bynum sign and trade. That might be a nice piece for the Kings to have moving on and starting a new franchise somewhere else.
He's also a free agent at the end of this year.
Right, so sign and trade probably.
But they got a lot of cap, and I don't think they need to trade the guys that they have for discounts. I mean, Drew Holiday, kind of a discount at $11 million. Not really if you look at the contracts, but they got Evan Turner locked down for a couple more years on $7 million. And of course they have Thaddeus Young around, is making under 10. So those are the 3 guys you kind of want to build around. I don't know if you get rid of them and start with the Kings prospects, and if that's going to put you in any better position. So, do you have any thoughts?
I just want to jump in real fast and say that I really think Thad Young is a really good player, but I think he has limited upside to his game. Yeah,
he kind of is what he is, but it goes to the other side of the coin. I mean, I'm not a big Tyreke Evans fan. He can play basketball clearly. He still doesn't really know what he is, and he's kind of came in the league and plateaued. He's never improved his game in the 5 years that he's been in the league, maybe even 6 years now. Seems like he's been here for a little while.
I guess you could say the same thing about Thaddeus Young.
Yeah, I guess you could.
Point.
I guess you could. He's kind of, he has his role and he understands it. But I think if the Sixers have an opportunity to go get Boogie Cousins, and if it's going to keep you 2 out of 3 of those guys, I don't see why not. If you got to move Thaddeus Young and some other players to do it, I would absolutely do it. But I don't think that's going to be enough to get Boogie off their hands if you got other teams that are out there.
Yeah, I think that's the main question: is how much are the Kings asking for? There were the rumors about the Celtics trading for DeMarcus Cousins, and what would that take? I think there's not a lot out there about the exact value of DeMarcus Cousins to the Kings right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see Cousins on the Kings at the end of the season and then moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for this call, Sports Kingdom. But don't go anywhere. This little song's for you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Good for the call. Where's the song, man?
What's your song?
Oh, we're going to play the Sixers song, but that's all right.
Yeah, it's supposed to be playing, but we'll see what...
Sixers.
So that's the amazing jam.
10, 9, 8,
James
7,
is still
8,
digging
Sixers.
it. It's a fantastic song. Before we get into the item that everyone's waiting for,
right,
your All-Star ballad.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I wish more teams made kick-ass songs like that.
I know.
I mean, that's a jam. It's on my iPod. It pops up, and I don't skip it.
I would never skip that song.
It makes me want to be a Philadelphia 76er fan for that song alone. And why, or I don't know if they do play it. If they don't play it at the stadium, then we're going to have to talk to some people.
No, they do. I've heard it.
Okay.
I've heard it.
Because it's a jam and a half. It beats any sports team theme song out there.
There's a lot of good ones, but I think that one's my favorite. We are the New York Knicks. Say, go New York, go New York, go.
One. So, all right, we're here to help
this
you.
This is the big moment right here.
We're here to help you figure out who's
your
an
all-star
all-star
ballots, right? We were talking about we were gonna maybe add in some all-star talk today. The latest voting is out and all that. Kobe still leads the pack.
Yep.
But I thought, if we're going to do some All-Star talk about voting, I haven't voted yet. Why don't I cast my vote live on the air? It's not a secret ballot. And, I think I'm ready to go. I don't know exactly who I'm voting for yet. I'm going to have to pull this up here.
Well, before you start voting, we're going to let everybody know who the starters are for both squads.
You
can see, because, you only vote for the starters, so that's all that really matters here. We don't need to know that Ricky Rubio has more votes than Stephen Curry. We'll get to that another time.
That's weird, though.
Super weird.
Stephen Curry's having a great season.
And
that's what I like to base my All-Star voting on. Not who I think is the biggest star or who the fans want to see the most, who I want to see the most, or who's been the best over the past 5 years. I want to vote for the guys that are having the best season this year, who are helping their teams the most. I think that's who deserves to start in the All-Star game.
Oh, absolutely. So, in the West right now,
absolutely,
we have Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant as your guards.
Okay.
Now, there's no center position. Dwight was upset about that, but it doesn't matter because he's apparently the starting center or starting forward.
One of the starting front court players.
Front court player, and that's Durant, Dwight, and Blake. So that squad is pretty tasty, but I looked at this back and forth. The West has the size for the starting five, but I think the East has more talent. Just because Dwight doesn't deserve to be a starting forward. I think there's other people, and we'll get into that on your ballot, but the East is going to have...
How do you know I'm not picking Dwight Howard?
LeBron...
You don't know anything yet.
LeBron, Melo, Garnett...
This is an empty ballot.
Wade and Rondo. So you got 2 Celtics, 2 Heat, and the New York Knick. The singular Knick on the
Knickerbocker.
So how the Lakers have 2 All-Stars and under 500 not making the playoffs beats me. But, hey, we saw Yao Ming get voted in year after year after year. So this is what the fans do.
The world we live in.
The fans don't run the league, thankfully. But they get to decide on things like this, which give us something to talk and laugh about.
Okay, so I have logged in to my NBA user account that I made when I was like 13 years old or whatever. My username is Can't Handle the Truth.
Can't handle it.
And the first thing it asked me to do is fill out my front courts. So I've got my west front court up here and my east front court. You know, I'm just gonna switch. I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna do my west front court and then my west guards, and then I'll get to the Eastern Conference. Okay. The first name I'm gonna pick out here and add to my All-Star team is Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant. That's a simple...
I think that's a safe pick. I don't think there'd be any real argument with that. He's the best scorer in the league, arguably, and having another great season. And the Thunder are among the best teams. Let's see. Moving down. See some names I like. I like Rudy Gay. I like Blake Griffin. I think they're both having phenomenal seasons. I like Andrei Kirilenko. David Lee might just make this team right now.
Might? He's on mine.
And Zach Randolph. Oh, boy. Okay, sorry, David Lee. I'm going to pick Zach Randolph, who is leading the league in rebounds, and Memphis are, primed for another, being in the top 4 teams in the Western Conference. Well, no, I can't have all 3 because I have to vote for Mr. Tim Duncan, who is having another terrific season. So I am sorry, David Lee. I'm going with Kevin Durant, Zach Randolph, and Tim Duncan as my Western front court.
And just to do justice, I'm going to vote for Durant, Randolph as well, but I'm going to give David Lee that.
You're getting David Lee.
David Lee needs a vote. He's leading the power forwards in double-doubles, I believe, this season.
No, he's absolutely phenomenal, and that's why the Warriors have been as successful as they have. It's him and Stephen Curry. Unfortunately, I don't think either of them are going to make it onto my... Oh, maybe Stephen Curry will. I'm going on to the Western guards now, and I'm finding Chris Paul because there's absolutely no argument there. He must be there. He's the best point guard in the league, and my choice for MVP... And let's see, this will come between Russell Westbrook,
Stephen Curry?
Russell Westbrook, Kobe Bryant, or Stephen Curry. Now, I don't know if I can vote for Kobe Bryant. He's leading the league in scoring, which is one thing, but his team stinks. I don't know if I blame it on him, though. I'm still going to vote for Kobe Bryant.
We're going to get on that Kobe.
I'm still going to do Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant as my guards. Stephen Curry, I love you. I hope you get on that bench. I trust that whoever the coach ends up being, possibly Vinny Del Negro, will get you on there.
I threw Chris Paul up there, no doubt about that, and I threw on a little Russell Westbrook as well because I think he is playing on a better team, and he's the reason.
Now, is this your second run-through voting? Is this your...
It might be. My first one was probably all Celtics. I probably voted for No Pass Bass to get in there. I think even in the Western Conference, I voted on all old Celtics, such as Tony Allen, Kendrick Perkins, just guys who have left me, Al Jefferson, the people who've left me heartbroken over the years, giving back and thanking them for their memories.
It's really nice of you to give back like that.
So now we're going to the East, so let's recap your West real quick.
My guards are Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant. My front court is Kevin Durant, Zach Randolph, Tim Duncan. So my guards are the same as the populace.
All right,
my forwards are a little different. I got Randolph and Duncan in there instead of Blake Griffin and Dwight Howard.
All right, hold on.
Are you having technical difficulties?
No, yeah. I'm just gonna do a screenshot of yours because you don't have a Mac out, so I can't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I gotta move Westbrook and Lee.
Well, let's wait until we complete our teams before we start thinking about screenshots.
Well, I'm just getting ready. So you can start on the East.
Okay.
You can start on the East.
All right, should I do the East guards first or the front court?
Let's do the front court. Front court's fun. It's the front court.
The first name I see is Carmelo Anthony, and he's going to get added. I'm going to look for LeBron James, of course. So now I just need one more guy for my East front court. I don't think those two can really be debated. Let's see. We have Kevin Garnett is a possibility. We have Brooke Lopez and Greg Monroe.
You have Jeff Green as a possibility.
I'm not going to pick that one. Wow, I don't really love any of these.
No.
Josh Smith, Paul Pierce.
I
don't know if you can put Pierce on that. He's been inconsistent this season. Tyson Chandler's had a great season.
Omri Caspi, who doesn't play.
How does Omri Caspi get on the ballot?
Because he's Israeli. You got to have everybody around the country.
You know what? I think
world rather. It's
tough. It's really very tough. And not because there's so many guys I want to pick. It's because I don't want to pick any of them. I don't think any of these guys are having an exception. I guess Kevin Garnett is the one who's on it, right? And he's been decent. I think it's mostly Rondo who's gotten them to where they are now. But Kevin Garnett has been heating up lately. They've won 5 straight. And he had a terrific game last night. He had 4 block shots, played great defense, had 17 points. I'm going to pick Kevin Garnett. I'm going to go the same exact front court that the people have.
The fans got it right. Now we're going to go to some guards. And I hope you don't put this one player on there, but we'll see what you do.
Did you have the same one as me, Carmelo?
Yeah.
LeBron, Garnett?
There's no. Well, I'm actually just
the only one I was close to. I was close to Brook Lopez there, and I thought about Josh Smith as well.
Ooh.
You know what? I'm picking Josh Smith because I think he is probably the number one reason that the Hawks are, the fourth in the East right now? And now it's telling me I can't select more than 3 front court players. Apparently I have to
you got to go up and
remove Kevin Garnett in order to add Josh Smith.
Who plays
the
center
change
on
I'm
this
making
team?
right now. They're all just basketball players, Jacob.
They're all just
It's not about guards and centers.
The Hawks actually have the second best record, I believe, in the East. No. The Knicks have lost.
No, the 4th. Miami, New York, Indiana, Atlanta.
4.
So that's what I'm going with. Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, Josh Smith. I guess LeBron James plays. He'll play center on defense and point guard on offense.
Not with Rondo out there.
You don't know who I'm voting for yet. Stop jumping the gun. I'll probably will vote for Rondo here with the East starter.
We just did a whole rant about how Rondo's amazing.
Yeah. Right. So, I do pick Rajon Rondo as my first East guard.
And you better not snub Kemba Walker.
It's between Kemba Walker, Dwayne Wade, Kyrie Irving, Paul George, and that's it.
How's Ray Allen on this?
Follow Ray Allen there.
Ray Allen doesn't even start in his own team.
Gerald Henderson, I don't think. Wow.
You could write something.
So really, I think I'm between, because I don't think Dwayne Wade's having a particularly great season. I don't think I want to vote for him.
Do you want to write in Lavoy Allen?
I might write in Grievous Vasquez on my Western guards.
Yeah, why isn't he on there, Grievous? You
I don't know.
File a grievance for that.
I will file a grievance for Grievous.
We're grieving for Grievous.
He's had a tremendous season. I'm going to pick Paul George. I think
that's interesting.
When Danny Granger goes down and he's able to step up his game, he's having some huge games, putting up 30 points every now and then, 15 rebounds or so. He's done it all with Danny Granger down for Indiana. I think he's a huge reason why they are the 3rd best team in the Eastern Conference. I think you can't really go without putting a pacer on that. So I'm going Paul George here. So that's my backcourt. My East guards are Rajon Rondo and Paul George.
The East is very long. Long team.
They're long,
but they don't have the bulk. I mean, LeBron.
Oh, so you're making a copy of mine so you can screenshot it right now.
Yeah,
Very good.
So everyone at the website can see what's going on.
Yeah, my votes are in, baby.
Gorgeous face. Now, one question I have though: why is Carmelo the only one with a square around his face?
Yeah, that's weird.
Can we talk
Someone
about
did a
that?
bad editing job over there in New York.
Yeah. My favorite face of all is Durant. Durant looks like it's a mugshot, like you can catch me.
I do get to write one in, huh?
Yeah.
You can just choose one right in no matter what position?
Option. No, it's not +1. It's if you wanted to write someone in.
Well, I'm putting in Grievous Vasquez optional, either him or Alexei Shved, and now I have to type in the 2 words, school and ring fic. They got to make sure that I'm a human here.
Absolutely.
I don't want to receive emails from the NBA offers from Sprint.
No, you do want to receive your emails.
And I'll vote. I voted. There it is. Officially. James Buckland's NBA All-Star 2013 votes for starters. Kevin Durant, Zach Randolph, Tim Duncan, Chris Paul, Kobe Bryant out west. Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, Josh Smith, Rajon Rondo, Paul George in the East. It's
definitely an all-star team that I would love to see.
But it's not going to happen, unfortunately. Dwayne Wade will be in there.
Oh, Dwayne Wade, worst player in the world. Oh, don't get me started on Dwayne again.
Garnett will be there. That'll be interesting. Carmelo Anthony and Garnett will have to be teammates. starting out that game.
Yeah, and you're segueing like a mofo today.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of segues, I still got to make sure I go talk to Mr. JaVale about segues when we're out there in Denver. Hey, kick ass at that wedding, sir.
Motherfucker, I will.
Whoa! Guest appearances is dropping F-bombs here. This is what we get from doing it in public randomly on a street corner.
Well, at least that time he didn't walk by in a towel.
That's true. I mean, this is why we need the camera so people can see this stuff. So we're going to segue a little bit into the talk of the town, which is actually about cereal. And this is interesting because I want to talk about the Celtics' point of view here. But anyways, we all know what happened with Carmelo. We all know what happened with Kevin Garnett's mouth. We all know about standing outside of buses. We found out later it was all about Honey Nut Cheerios. And it's just kind of had us all lost for words here. And I believe we're going to have our good friend Peyton Wales. Is that you, Peyton? Oh!
Yeah. Hey, what's up, fellas?
So Peyton wanted to call in and talk about a couple topics, which we promised to save for him. And obviously, first one is this Carmelo, Honey Nut Cheerios, and Kevin Garnett. So Peyton, why don't you lead us off here? Do you have an epic rant?
Go ahead. What'd you say?
Do you have an epic rant for this cereal talk that's going down these days?
I do not know about an epic rant. I know that the price of Honey Nut Cheerios and the amount of boxes of Honey Nut Cheerios is probably going up there in Boston. I'm sure you guys are all stocking up and getting ready for the next game when they come to town, which is a couple weeks from now, isn't it?
I believe so. It might even be 1 week away. Because the Celtics have that 5 games against crappy teams, and then they go against some good teams. So it's definitely going to be something interesting to see what the fans do. And the fans are creative up here. They always have great slogans, and they know how to get under the skin of the opponents. But I wouldn't be surprised if everyone's shaking boxes of Honey Nut Cheerios in the crowd. At least someone's going to bring some.
I wouldn't waste Honey Nut Cheerios like that. They're delicious.
Well, they're not going to waste them. They're just going to shake the box like a rattle. Everyone's just shaking it.
Yeah, don't not eat the Cheerios. Just shake the box and then eat the Cheerios. Matter of fact, it's probably better if you eat the Cheerios in front of them, just to kind of egg them on a little bit.
Not can you bring the Honey Nut Cheerios in, which I'm sure is probably tough to do anyway. I don't think you can bring food into the TD Bank North Garden. But also, what about the milk? You probably can't get milk in there either.
They don't have milk. There's Dunkin' Donuts in there.
Oh, you're right. There is that Dunkin' Donuts. Right? You get in, you take it right.
Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts. So you can just.
And plus, you might be able to get like a White Russian at one of those bars.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, White Russian and Honey Nut Cheerios. There you go.
Can I get a few shots of milk, please?
I gotta go with my Honey Nut Cheerios. By the way, to go. I can borrow too. A spoon. I didn't bring. All I brought was the Cheerios. I didn't bring anything else here. But now we're hearing that Lala's trying to market the Honey Nut Cheerios.
Oh wow! Really?
I saw a snippet of it. I haven't dived in. I don't know if you caught wind of that, Peyton. But I hear she's trying to get her face on the box of Honey Nut Cheerios. And if you're Honey Nut Cheerios, how do you not get on that box?
I'd make that move.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a marketing move for the century right there. You got to take that one. So what do you guys think about it? Like, does it surprise you at all that might have been what was said in any way by Garnett? Like, does it even remotely surprise you? And are you happy you did it? Not happy you did it? Like, what do you think?
Well, before we jump onto that, and I got a lot of opinions on that. I'm glad that you said. I'm glad that you said might have said it. That's the topic here. But I just wanted to point out, I looked up a research here. In 2011, Honey Nut Cheerios was America's favorite cereal. Honey Nut Cheerios was America's favorite cereal in 2011. So let's just get that out of the way. Lala should be thankful that your wife is the Honey Nut cereal. I think it was a compliment. But going back to what you said there, the Celtics are very good at this. And if you remember the whole Charlieville and the waiver situation, the Celtics are great at damage control. And whether you believe Garnett said what he said to Charlieville in the waiver about being a cancer patient or cancer to his team, the Celtics spun it. Same thing here. You asked all the teammates. Sullinger came out and said he didn't say that. Like, I don't know where that rumor came from, but he says a lot of things, but he definitely didn't say that. And Doc Rivers says, I don't know about him saying that. And so they're doing the denial again with Kevin Garnett's mouth. And honestly, nothing would surprise me what comes out of Kevin Garnett's mouth. To me, all of it's legal. I mean, he can say whatever the hell he wants. It's verbal out there. It's not like he's taking cheap shots to the groin or anything. If you don't have to handle it, don't play basketball.
Yeah, I was listening to the BS report with Simmons and Steph Curry was on there and David Lee. And David Lee was talking about how, as a rookie, KG just kind of rattled him for the first couple of years, actually. And then once he got the hang of it, he was the guy that went to the other guys and told the rookies, like, hey, Garnett's going to go at you. He's going to talk to you. And he's just going to say some stuff that you just don't want to hear. And you basically need to ignore it and pretend it came in, a foreign language to you. And it's just not there because he's going to try his best to get in your head. And this doesn't surprise me at all. The bigger thing is there was the report also that he said something to Tim Duncan about his mother, basically saying Happy Mother's Day. Did you hear about that one?
No, but...
Oh, yeah. I guess apparently at some point in time they were playing and he basically was taking shots at Duncan's mom and said Happy Mother's Day. And for those of you in the basketball world that do not know, Tim Duncan's mother passed away at a very, very early age for him. And so she's been kind of an inspiration for his life and stuff. And that was just, I don't know. I don't know if that puts him up on my list of scumbags, if that's true, but I put him up on my list of scumbags. I still love the way he plays.
Well,
I still love the way.
That might confirm all the rumors out there that they just do not like each other. As both of those players never got along.
Yeah, I'll say this though, and they certainly haven't, and I don't think Tim Duncan appreciates the way that Kevin Garnett
plays the game.
Well, I don't like say plays the game, but the way that he carries himself on the court, and I think there's always been friction between those two because of that. They're the complete opposite personalities in every way, shape, or form. What it is to me though, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if Kevin Garnett said these things, and I would agree with you, Peyton. He is a scumbag at times, and what I would say, though, is if he's not actually saying these things, there's a very creative person that's coming up with the things that he is saying. Because I don't know if you can make this stuff up about the Honey Nut Cheerios. That's one of the things you kind of repeat and not fabricate about somebody else.
Absolutely. So there's some good T-shirts being made as the Honey Bee with Kevin Garnett's face on it. It's a good T-shirt I saw out there. So we're definitely running with it in this area with that. I mean, I don't know what the West Coast thinks about it or the South, but it's definitely a hot topic up here, and I'm glad that they kissed and made up over the phone. They were texting each other and were BFFs again, and, no beef. Your wife's awesome, even though you don't live with her. This whole story's out there, which is getting real too personal. This is the shitty thing about playing in New York, is people know more about your personal life.
You know what the crazy thing is, though, about the whole thing? Is think about being on the court yourself when you were maybe in high school playing pickup games or a little bit after that.
Yeah.
Some of the things that get said on that court are far less appropriate than saying that somebody's wife tastes like Honey Nut Cheerios. But it's just that.
No, what I picture?
It's kind of funny to just say
Will,
that with a straight face. But it's kind of interesting how so much changes about what's appropriate or what's inappropriate when it's on a bigger stage.
You know what I picture? And we all probably seen the movie Semi-Pro. I picture Will Ferrell yelling at the official, I'm going to kill your mother. It's like, I picture some stuff like that. And for the Honey Nut Cheerio comment, I mean, really? But here's why I don't believe it, is because he went way too bonkers. He went way too bonkers over a comment that was that. We have one more guest on here, 707.
Let's pile them on. We only have like 5 minutes left. So
who we got? 707. Is this Mr. Kez?
Yo, this is Jacob up in Santa Rosa, California. Big fan, guys. Thanks for taking my call. We're talking Celtics a little bit, so I wanted to throw out maybe a ridiculous trade proposal out there. Maybe you guys have discussed it already, but for both franchises where they're at right now, I think it makes sense. The Sacramento Kings send Tyreek Evans and DeMarcus Cousins to the Boston Celtics for Rajon Rondo. Now, hear me out.
Oh, come on.
Hear me out. Yeah. Hear me out. Hear me out, gentlemen.
Okay.
You get two young players who I still think have more upside than downside in Boogie and Tyreek. It allows Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett to do what they're good at off the court, which is mentorship and character building. Doc Rivers, I think, plays a key role, and then the Celtics really do retool in terms of talent and trade chips moving on out. The Sacramento Kings, who unfortunately, for better or worse, seem to be moving, get that franchise player that they're looking for, somebody whose statistics will grow once they are the featured player in both an offense and a defense.
Seattle gets its franchise player, something that, a team that is moving. We saw this with the Brooklyn Nets. You really need some marketable players to bring the fans out, to build some hype around your team. I think it makes sense for both teams in some ways. Now, I know that both teams would take hits in the standings, and you guys are probably rolling your eyes like crazy.
Yep.
But I think it makes a little bit of sense, and now you guys can lambaste me as much as you want.
No, I'm not going to lambaste you or anything like that. I probably just said that word wrong. But, when you're the Celtics and you're a team who still thinks that they have some semblance of a chance this season of at least getting back to the Eastern Conference Finals, you never want to make a trade where you're giving up the best player in it, and I think that's what they'd be doing there.
But also, I don't think the Kings do that straight up, and I know the numbers kind of.
Of course they do.
I don't
Are you kidding me?
Just for Rondo with those two, they don't ask for anything else.
Yes, they definitely do that.
Well, here's the thing.
I mean,
Tyreek played the point when nobody could quite figure out what position he was, and I'm not sure anybody has quite figured out what position he was.
I still don't know what position he plays.
Slasher.
Nor I.
He's a forward, right?
He's playing the 3. Well, no, he's playing the bench right now, but he's played the 3, he's played the 2, he's played the 1 quite poorly. But the thing is, I think in a better organization with better structures for making players succeed, Tyreke Evans is an exponentially greater player in Boston than he is in Sacramento. Same with DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, that is a formidable. You have formidable players in Boston if you're trotting out those young guys who can produce a lot on the stat sheet. Not in any sort of winning way right now in Sacramento because their organization is so dysfunctional. But if you put the right structure,
what are you talking about? The Maloofs are fantastic owners and general managers. They have never made a bad decision in their lives, and they're fantastic people. But okay, I see your point. However, James pointed out the Celtics are not going to part with Rondo unless they get someone better. I mean, they threw his name out there when Chris Paul was available. I don't see them doing that. Secondly, they would not have a point guard after that because I don't like Avery Bradley or Tyreek running the point.
No.
And they have 5 other shooting guards on the bench, so there's no one else really to play the point unless Paul Pierce wants to be a point forward. And last comment I want to make is I just did a trade machine for you. John Hollinger says both teams will get worse.
What is that based on, though?
Well, he's a general manager, first off.
But what is it based on? You didn't just send an email to John Hollinger and get an email back. This is a machine.
No, this is John Hollinger's statistical machine. He's the general manager of the Memphis Grizzlies right now. I'm going to take
he knows, okay? The machine knows
executive
what's going
vice president of something or other. But yeah, I mean, the trade machine is a double-edged sword. I sit there too much and do things that would just ruin the landscape of the NBA
Diddlin' and
forever.
diddlin'.
But thank God it was invented. I love the trade machine.
My last question for you, Jacob, is...
Yeah.
It's weird to say that. My name's Jacob as well.
Most popular name for boys for like 16 straight years, man. There's a lot of us running around.
It is, and it's a fun stat to have. But my question to you is, where do you see Boogie's trash talk going playing alongside Kevin Garnett? Do you think he's going to become over the top like a Garnett type, or do you think he'll have more honed down, he called people's wives honeycomb instead of, honey nut Cheerios?
Well, the
honey
thing
snacks, dude. Honey snacks.
Maybe I'm wrong about this, but it seemed to me that Rondo became more brash and aggressive as he played longer with KG. He used to be kind of quiet and shy, and as his skills grew and as he played more with KG, he kind of joined that whole Celtics thing of snarling and sniping and talking trash. I think that Boogie's trash talk game would be refined and honed playing next to KG.
It'd be smarter.
There'd be more purpose, and it'd be more effective rather than throwing half punches at Vince Carter. He'll make it count.
He'll make them connect, is what he's trying to say. This time the punches will connect. I'm going to chime in real quick. Rondo was wily and feisty even before Garnett got there. And Garnett would just I can't imagine what Garnett would teach Cousins, but I can't imagine it would be good because I feel like he's rubbed off on Rondo. I mean, Rondo, he's had his 4th official pushing incident in his career just recently. So I can't help but think that a little bit of that's Garnett, which is kind of like his big brother there. It's kind
I will say, Peyton, I think you both are right here. I think what changed over time was the confidence in Rondo. When Garnett first came, and he didn't really know Rondo much, most people didn't, and he made a comment, and he was right. He said, if Rondo's not a multiple-time All-Star in a few years, I'm going to be shocked. And sure enough, Rondo is a superstar now. And Garnett saw that talent, gave the kid the confidence he needed to become that player.
Well, then briefly, maybe a better example is Big Baby Davis, who was, crying on the bench when Kevin Garnett talked too harshly to him and just seemed rather immature and maybe not so full of confidence. But as he played with Garnett, as he got more experience in the league, he was the closest thing Orlando had to an all-star player. And I'm not saying that's directly related to playing next to Kevin Garnett for 3 seasons or however many seasons he played with him. But I think Kevin Garnett is a mentor, for better or for worse. He teaches young players how to succeed in the league, how to perform on the court, how to not be disrespected off the court. I think DeMarcus Cousins isn't going to become a teddy bear. That just isn't going to happen. It's not in his makeup. So if
maybe
he
Ted.
is going, what? I'm sorry.
Maybe Ted.
I wish, but Kevin Garnett does bring out that nastiness in players, and then takes that nastiness and turns it into a something that is functional, something that is productive on the court and off the court. And DeMarcus Cousins, the biggest thing he needs right now is a mentor. The biggest thing he needs right now is a good organization that doesn't sort of grate on him and he doesn't grate on them. It's a dysfunctional relationship both ways.
It really is.
And, that's what I got. Anyway, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. I really love it.
Take care.
Right, take care.
Stick around to listen to us talk a little Laker bashing, and we'll let Peyton lead off, because I know Peyton wanted to talk a little bit Lakers. And just so you know, Peyton, Dwight Howard is going to be the subject of my rant. I pulled up a post that I did in 2010 discussing the same issue I have with Dwight Howard, and he's still doing it. But we'll let you start off with what's going on in Lakerland out there, Peyton.
Oh, dear God, hold on. I need to get a bottle of whiskey out.
It's a 1 in the afternoon.
We're talking Lakers here. I need whiskey. Listen, last night, I don't know if you saw my tweet, but I've given up. The season's done for me. As far as the Laker fan standpoint goes, I think that my hope went out the door last night, and I understand that the team is not completely there, but this is a mess, and maybe I shouldn't have expected it. As you know, I wasn't one of the guys jumping on the bandwagon and saying, here we go, we're going to have a championship. I know that it takes that chemistry, and we just saw that with Miami Heat 2 years ago. They put that super team together, and it took them 2 years to get a championship. Now, granted, they got to the finals, and I was kind of thinking that might happen this year, but the Lakers are in trouble, and Dwight Howard's still not signed. He's just there, and who knows what's going to happen. He's been injured. I think they should have let him rest a little bit longer before they brought him back. I think that would have helped them a little bit because he's not 100%. And I still don't see that fire in him, and maybe that's where you're going with yours, Jacob, but I just don't see that care, that fire, that passion that I want to see out of a player. And maybe I'm just spoiled from watching Kobe for all these years, but it's getting rough, and the system is bad, and we haven't even seen 7 seconds or less really with them that much, and I honestly don't think it'll work. They don't have a stretch 4, and technically they don't have a stretch 5, and that was one of the things that was going on in Phoenix was they had stretch players. They had these Amari could pick and pop at 15 feet, Boris Diaw could pick and pop pretty much anywhere, and that was one of those things that system really needs. And Dwight Howard's not shooting a 15-footer. He can't even shoot his free throws, and that's brutal, and that's killing some of the games, and the free throw situation and standing a foot behind the line, that drives me crazy, and I'm starting to get my blood pressure starting to go up. I know you. Well, can tell.
I want to touch on a couple of topics you said, and one of them you said we have not seen 7 seconds or less. I have to disagree with you. We've seen every opponent run 7 seconds or less all over the Lakers. He's putting up 130 on them like it's nothing.
Oh my.
And I agree. We've been talking about this since the start of the season. I don't think they have the personnel for like the D'Antoni system, and I don't. And plus, on top of that, his system isn't as effective these days because everybody runs smaller lineups, so people can defend that now. The Celtics have Kevin Garnett as their center. They're a faster team like that. You get the Miami Heat where Chris Bosh is their center. Teams can match up to 7 seconds or less nowadays. Now, when D'Antoni was doing it, there was still enough conventional centers. You had Shaq, and you had all the young guys like the Tyson Chandlers of the world and the Perkins, and we can go down the list to Dwight's and Andrew Bynum's. There was probably 10 legit bodied centers in the league at that time. Now, we can't even find one. The two that are supposed to be premier are both hurt. And there's no other center out there. I mean, Brook Lopez, I guess, is the best center right now, and that's telling us a lot about what the NBA has changed in demographics of the big guy down to the center. So the Lakers are doing what I fear often is just get the best players, but don't have a philosophy. And basketball has taught us one thing over time, that a philosophy will win more so than a group of good, talented players. And I think that's where they're at right now.
They've got to have talent, too, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely do.
I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. And this goes down to Jim Buss, and I'm pretty sure he, overruled Kupchak on a lot of this, and this is why I wanted Phil so bad, and people were telling me I need to get over it and stuff. And the truth was, it's not about Phil Jackson's 10 rings. It's the fact that he can mesh a team. No matter what the team is, he's always seemed to be able to mesh the team because he realized that, I guess maybe it was more than X's and O's. And it truthfully is. It's more than X's and O's. You need that other intangible there to get everything to click and be on the right page for a season. And that's the reason why. And the whole Jim Buss thing, I don't know. And now he's saying he's not going to blow up the team, which is fine. But I think if you want to make the playoffs, you really do need to consider making a trade here at some point in time. And really your only trade bait is Pau Gasol, and he's having an awful season right now. And Dwight Howard you can't trade him. No one wants him because they know he's a free agent. No one's going to touch him. No one.
And plus, he's not healthy, and people would want to see that back before they decide to, sign him. And that's what's funny about all this.
There's one team that probably wants him, but they already know he's going there.
Yeah, exactly. He knows where he's going. But I wanted to say something. It's kind of funny because it wasn't really a bad trade for the Lakers because they gave up one injured center for another injured center. At least one of the centers is dressing and playing, just not well, but playing basketball. The other center, man, we don't know what's up with his hairdo. We know more about his hair than we know about his health. And then that's kind of telling the situation right there.
All we've learned is that if you're an NBA player, you should not go bowling. That's all I've learned from the Andrew Bynum situation. And I'm a little disappointed. I really thought he would come along. As you know, I really did love the kid. I thought he gave a lot for the Lakers, and I think he gave his knees, to be honest with you. I think that he came back and played a couple years through injury to try to win a couple titles, and that might have done it. I think it just might have been, he didn't get heal enough, and it might have just took his knees out, and that might be the end of it for him. But and I hope not. But that's sad. But yeah, at least Dwight Howard's dressing and playing. And you know what? Dwight Howard isn't having a bad season. He's just having a good season. But he's not having a Dwight Howard season. So he's not
doing the stuff that doesn't show up in the box score, such as making offenses adjust their game plan because he's in the middle. We're seeing he's very flat-footed in late in games, and teams are just tacking the rim on him and saying, hey, big fella, do something about it. I'm going to keep coming at you because I've seen everybody else posterize the Lakers this season. So until he gets his act together defensively, nothing else matters. Doesn't matter how many rebounds he grabs. Doesn't matter how many points he puts up. If he's not out there making the defensive stance that he's known for, it's going to be a long season for the Lakers, and I think it already is a long season.
It's a long season, trust me.
I'm going to start my rant, Peyton, if you have any last words.
Nope, that's it. I just fully expect the Lakers to lose like the next 6 games. That includes Cleveland, Milwaukee, Toronto, and Memphis down the road here. So, yeah, it's all over. But thanks for having me on today, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Peyton. It's been a while, and we'll talk about with you. So we're going to talk a little bit about rants. James likes when I go on rants.
I love it. It's my favorite part of every show
now. The first subject to my rant was Dwayne Wade.
Mm-hmm.
Second subject was Royce White.
Right.
The third one was going to be Twitter about not having their, quote, tweet button on their website. But there's something more important we need to discuss
More
today.
Pressing issues. And we're already on the topic of Dwight Howard, and I believe he is going to be the target of this rant, if I'm not mistaken.
You know what really grinds my gears?
What would that be, Peter Griffin?
Dwight Howard's been grinding my gears for many years now, and it's weird to say many years, but it has been. And I wrote about it in 2010 when I said that Dwight Howard was caught smiling against the Celtics that season in the postseason when they went up against each other. They were down by 10, 12 points, maybe 3 minutes left to go in the game, and Dwight Howard smiling around the basketball court. Smiling, openly smiling, joking, having a time. It's just all fun and games to you, isn't it, Dwight? Just laugh it up. Just chuck it up, and you wonder why you have no championship rings. Then he's the same type of player that sits around and says, you know what? It's about rings. I want to win championships. This is why I want to come to the Lakers, and I wanted to trade out of Orlando because I wanted to win championships. And then, last night, we all know the Thunder blow out the Lakers at home, and with a minute left in the game, someone was great enough to grab these great screenshots, and I posted them on Twitter, and obviously Kobe is the polar opposite of Dwight. And no one's expecting Dwight to be Kobe, but just take your job seriously. If you're really about winning, being down by 20 points with a minute left in the game is no reason for you to be smiling. And Kobe has the look of death. It looks like someone just told him his mother passed away. That's the kind of look Kobe has right now, that he is just going to take out all his revenge on anybody who comes near him. Now, on the other side of that, you got Dwight Howard just smiling it up, having a ball, and I know Dwight has a different way of coping with this stuff than most players, and some people smile when they get nervous, and some people laugh when they are very nervous. But Dwight Howard's smiling and enjoying a 20-point loss at home on a season where your team's below 500 on a team that many dubbed you'd have the best record. I mean, there was 72 win talks at the beginning of the season. They saw all the holes. I mean, last year the holes were point guard. They grabbed Steve Nash. They got Dwight Howard, who everyone agrees is better than Andrew Bynum. Maybe not so. Dwight Howard is smiling on a 20-point loss. But this isn't big, and a lot of people might think this is new, but it's not. And I tweeted the article I wrote in 2010 where I talked about LeBron James. Because LeBron James got a lot of crap for, in 2010, with getting eliminated and storming off the court, not shaking players' hands, and I have no problem with that. I have zero problem with that. He doesn't have to be your friend. He doesn't have to go out there and do this or do that. If he doesn't want to shake your hand after a loss, then that's fine. I mean, I know Ray Allen was the only one that did it to the Heat. All the other players walked off, and Garnett and Rondo walked off. I have no problem with that.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. If you want to storm off the court after a loss, good. You should be upset for losing. You should not be criticized for not being a good sportsman. And on the other side, Dwight's the best sportsman. Dwight will laugh and congratulate you during the game while you're winning. Oh, hey, congratulations, you won this game. Oh, there's 3 minutes left in the clock, and we might win this playoff game, but I'll laugh it up. You guys did a good job. You earned it. So Dwight Howard, to me, is becoming the biggest fraud in the NBA. I think he kind of did that himself over this past offseason with his whole hoopla about I want to win, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then you go and you smile during losses, Dwight. I just think he's a phony. I don't think he is what most people think he is, and I hope nothing but the worst in terms of wins and losses. Wins and losses, not injuries. Wins and losses for Dwight Howard. He will never win a title. It doesn't matter how many Kobe Bryants he has around him. You need everybody to have the focus and determination of Mr. Kobe Bryant and not the laughing, not taking anything seriously of Dwight Howard. No wonder why Stan Van Gundy had such a hard time getting everyone motivated. You give an emotional speech, and then Dwight laughs it off.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my rant on Dwight Howard. I don't know what you have any opinions on Mr. Dwight.
Well, he's a tremendous physical specimen, and I think that's what really makes him a great player. And he's a great defender as well. I'm certainly not going to take away anything from him on that end of the court. His offensive creativeness in the post certainly leaves something to be desired.
Yep.
Anything that has to do with his offensive game that doesn't have to do anything with his strength, his physicality, things of that nature. Those things need to be improved. But overall, I see him as a very good player that can help your team.
Yep.
I don't really see him as a competitor. I don't think he has that competitive streak in him. I think a loss is a loss, and a win's great if you get it for him. You look at that picture with the two faces lined up next to each other at the same point in the game, you can see Kobe Bryant is not happy with himself, not happy with his teammates, probably not happy with Dwight Howard. I don't think that a loss means the same thing to Dwight Howard as it does to Kobe Bryant.
Nope.
I just don't think he has that fire in him. And I guess it's okay to be that fun-loving guy if you can help a team to 50 wins like he did with the Orlando Magic. More power to you, and that's all well and good. And they made an NBA Finals.
They did.
The year that Kevin Garnett got hurt.
That was the one time I saw him serious, when he sat there and watched the ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
But the year after, he's smiling in the playoffs.
Right.
Against the Celtics.
Yeah, it's a different personality.
How much does he want
I think a lot of players are morphing into that. They're friends with the guys they play against. And you could certainly call out a lot of guys for something like that, even LeBron James earlier in his career. But I think he made the shift in the commitment to winning, and now you hardly ever see he's a scary man on that basketball court. I certainly would not be getting in his way of him in a ring this season. So I think it's possible to change and get a bit of a mean streak. We've seen it with some other players. Dirk Nowitzki has gotten more physical. Pau Gasol, we've seen it with him. I just don't think that streak is in Dwight Howard yet. I don't think he's competitive enough to really match what Kobe Bryant can do on that end. But I don't know if anyone can get to Kobe's level. But it's a shame, and the Lakers are seeing the result of that.
They truly are. And I think we both had decent rants there on Dwight Howard. And next week we are going to try and get a guest again. I'm working on a couple people.
Great.
And I want to bring in an expert to talk about the Kings move. Get some businessmen on this podcast to tell us what the hell happens in a situation like this, and what they know about is the Seattle Supersonics going to come back, or we're going to have the Seattle Kings. I mean, what's going to happen there?
What's Kuhn up to?
What's Kuhn? Absolutely. Well, I'm looking at him. Sam Amick and I are trying to schedule to get him on again.
Good.
And, he'll spill all the beans. And good episode. Thanks.
Yeah, we had a lot of callers. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, nice Saturday morning.
Yeah, maybe we got to do more of these Saturday afternoons, getting people calling in.
I think we're going to try for Tuesdays now. We're going to change the days to Tuesdays. Tuesday nights during the week, but we might have to do a Saturday every now and again just to get the morning shift. So
like it.
Yeah, this is Danny Brown taking you out. Maybe tomorrow.
TheProBasketballTalk.com, NBA Unplugged, James Buckland, James Twitter.
You just listened to NBA Unplugged, brought to you by TheProBasketballTalk.com.